I thought love was behind me. I didn't expect to feel anything again, not at 70. But she was kind, gentle, everything I thought I needed to heal. I gave her my name, my money, my trust. And in the end, she walked out like I was no one. I still wake up expecting to see her sitting at the foot of the bed. A few days ago, I got an email from a longtime viewer of this channel, someone who said he's been here since the very first story I ever shared. He wrote, "I'm 72 now. I thought I was done with heartbreak too, but it found me again in Thailand." When I opened his message, I didn't expect it to hit me so hard. I thought I was numb to these stories by now. But there was something raw in the way he wrote, quiet, tired, honest. You could feel the years behind every word. As I read, I could almost hear his voice trembling, the way men do when they're trying not to sound broken. At first, I felt sadness. Then came that ache in my chest, not for what he'd lost, but for what he believed he'd found. Hope, connection, a second chance. That's the cruel part about growing older. You start thinking you've learned enough to protect yourself, and then life proves you wrong in the most personal way possible. By the time I reached the end of his email, I just sat there in silence. The room felt still. His story wasn't just his, it was ours. Every man who's ever loved too much, trusted too deeply, and realized too late that not all kindness is real. And that's what keeps me here, reading, listening, telling these stories. Because somewhere out there, another man is living through the same pain, thinking he's the only one. To those who've been watching since the beginning, thank you. Truly, every like, every comment, every late-night view means more than you know. You've turned this channel into a space where honesty still matters. So wherever you're watching from, Bangkok, Sydney, Chicago, or Manila, drop a comment below. Tell me where you are. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and stay close. Because this story, it reminded me that even at 70, heartbreak doesn't age. Let me take you back to where it all started. I can still see the frangipani petals falling that morning, white and yellow, spinning down like tiny prayers answered. We were sitting on that wooden bench near Wat Phra Singh, the one under the tree where tourists never go because it's too far from the main entrance. Sasipa was wearing her blue cotton dress, the one with small flowers embroidered at the collar. She'd been quiet all morning. I'd asked her 3 days before, on my knees in my living room like some old fool, if she'd marry me. She'd smiled then, touched my face, said she needed time to think. Those 3 days felt like 3 years. I barely slept, kept rehearsing what I'd say if she said no, how I'd pretend it was fine, how I'd survive the embarrassment of hoping at my age. "Harlan," she said that morning, her voice so soft I almost didn't hear it over the temple bells. "I have answer for you." My heart stopped. I remember thinking, this is it, this is where she lets me down easy, tells me I'm too old, that we're from different worlds. I gripped the edge of the bench. "Okay," I said. "Whatever you decide, I understand." She turned to me, and her eyes were wet. Not crying, just glistening. She reached for my hand, laced her fingers through mine. They were so small, so warm. "Yes," she whispered. "I will be your wife." I didn't move. Couldn't. The words hung in the air between us like they needed permission to be real. "You mean it?" My voice cracked. I sounded like a teenager. "I mean it." She rested her head on my shoulder, and I felt her breath against my neck. "You are a good man, Harlan. You make me feel safe. I want to take care of you. I want to be with you." I wrapped my arm around her and closed my eyes. For the first time in 5 years since Margaret died, I felt like I wasn't just waiting to die too. I felt alive, needed, chosen. The temple bells rang again, and I swear they sounded different this time. Celebratory. Like even the monks knew something good had just happened. "I'll take care of you too," I told her. "I promise I'll make you happy." She lifted her head and kissed my cheek. "I am already happy." We sat there for another hour, not saying much, just existing together, watching the monks walk past in their saffron robes, watching the stray dogs curl up in the shade. I kept glancing at her like she might vanish if I looked away too long. She caught me once and laughed. "Why you look at me like that?" "I'm just making sure you're real." She squeezed my hand. "I am real. And I am yours." I believed her. God help me, I believed every word. That night, back at my rented house on the edge of the old city, I called my daughter in Oregon. I hadn't spoken to her in 6 months. She picked up on the fourth ring, sounded annoyed. Dad, it's 2 in the morning here. I know, sweetheart, I'm sorry. I just had to tell you something. Silence. Then a sigh. What is it? I'm getting married. The pause was so long I thought the call dropped. You're what? I met someone. Her name is Sasipa. She's wonderful, Kelly. She makes me feel like myself again. Dad. Her voice changed. Hard. Protective. How long have you known this person? 8 months. I know it sounds fast, but 8 months? Dad, you barely know her. Is she Thai? Yes, she's Thai. What does that matter? It matters because this happens all the time. You hear about it constantly. Older men, younger women, money disappearing. Kelly, stop. This isn't like that. Sasipa isn't like that. She's educated, she's kind, she has a family here. Does she need money? I hesitated. That hesitation was all she needed. Oh my God, Dad. Please tell me you're not sending her money. I've helped her with a few things. Her mother's medical bills, some school fees for her brother. It's nothing I can't afford. Dad. She sounded exhausted. Please be careful. Please. I can't watch you get hurt again. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm 70 years old, Kelly. I know what I'm doing. But I didn't know anything. I hung up and looked at Sasipa, who was sitting on the floor organizing her skincare products into neat little rows. She looked up and smiled. Your daughter is happy for you? I smiled back. She's worried, but she'll come around. Sasipa stood and walked over, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. I will make her proud. I will be good wife for you, Harlan. You will see. I turned and held her face in my hands. She looked so sincere, so genuine. How could anyone fake that kind of softness? I know you will, I said. We spent the rest of that evening planning. Small wedding, she said. Just family and a few friends, maybe at a nice restaurant by the river. I offered to fly her family in from Isan, wherever they were. She said no, too expensive, but maybe we could visit them soon. I said, of course. Anything she wanted. I would have given her the moon if she'd asked. I was that far gone. That desperate to believe I hadn't been forgotten by the world. That night, lying in bed with her curled against me, I stared at the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead and thought about Margaret. About our 40 years together. The good ones and the hard ones. The hospital rooms and the quiet mornings. I wondered if she'd forgive me for moving on. If she'd understand. I decided she would. Margaret was never cruel. She'd want me to be happy. And I was happy. For the first time since I scattered her ashes in the Willamette River, I was happy. Sasipa stirred in her sleep, mumbling something in Thai I didn't understand. I kissed the top of her head and closed my eyes. I thought I'd found my ending, my soft place to land. I didn't know I was just starting the fall. I met Sasipa on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my temple days. I'd walk to Wat Chedi Luang in the morning, sit with the monks if they'd let me, then stop at a small cafe on the way home for iced coffee. It was one of those places with mismatched chairs and a menu written in chalk, the kind tourists skip because it doesn't look Instagram ready. But the coffee was good, and the owner, an older Thai woman with a gold tooth, always smiled at me like I wasn't just another foreigner taking up space. That Tuesday, there was a new girl wiping down tables. She had her hair pulled back in a ponytail, and she was humming something under her breath. When she saw me, she stopped and smiled. Not the polite smile you give strangers. A real one. Sawasdee-ka, she said, pressing her hands together in a way. You want iced coffee? You know my order? She laughed. Kun Noi tell me. She say old American man come every Tuesday. Always iced coffee, no sugar. Old, huh? I did not say old. Kun Noi say. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. I think you look young. I chuckled. You're a terrible liar. Maybe. She brought me the coffee a few minutes later and lingered by the table. You like Chiang Mai? I do. It's quiet, peaceful. You live here a long time? About a year. I'm retired. Used to work as a paramedic back in the States. Her face lit up. Paramedic? You help people? I tried to. That is a beautiful job. She sat down across from me without asking, and I didn't mind. I want to be nurse. I studied before, but I cannot finish. Why not? Her smile faded a little. My family need money. My mother is sick, my brother's still in school, so I work. I'm sorry, she shrugged. Is okay. Maybe one day I go back. We talked for 20 minutes. She told me about growing up in a village in Aizan, about moving to Chiang Mai to find work, about how much she missed her family but couldn't afford to visit often. I told her about Oregon, about Margaret, about my kids who never called. When I finally stood to leave, she walked me to the door. You come back next Tuesday? I think I will. Good. I will remember. No sugar. I came back the next Tuesday, and the one after that, and the one after that. By the third week, I knew her name was Sasipa, that she was 30, that she loved old Thai movies and hated durian. By the second month, we were talking outside the cafe too, taking walks through the old city, visiting temples together. She never asked for anything, never hinted. She just listened. Really listened. When I talked about Margaret, she didn't change the subject or look uncomfortable. She held my hand and said, "She was lucky to have you." One evening, after we'd walked along the moat and watched the sunset turn the water gold, she asked if she could see where I lived. It's not much, I warned her. Just a small house I rent. I do not care about big or small. I want to see your home. So I brought her there. She walked through the room slowly, touching things gently, the books on the shelf, the photos of my kids on the wall, the coffee mug Margaret bought me in Seattle. You are lonely here, she said quietly. Sometimes. She turned to me. I can help, if you want. Help how? I can cook for you. Clean a little, keep you company. Sasipa, you don't have to. I want to. She stepped closer. You are good man, Harlan. You should not be alone. I didn't argue. I was too tired of being alone. Too tired of microwave dinners and silent evenings. She started coming over 3 times a week. Then 5. Then she just stopped leaving. She'd cook simple meals, fried rice and chicken, som tam, things that reminded her of home. She'd sit with me while I read, massaging my shoulders when they got stiff. She never made it feel like charity. She made it feel like she wanted to be there. Your back is so tight, she said one night, her hands working at a knot near my spine. You carry too much stress. Old age. Not old, just tired. She leaned down and kissed the top of my head. I will take care of you. And she did. For months she took care of me. I started sleeping better, eating better. I even stopped taking my blood pressure medication because my doctor said I didn't need it anymore. Sasipa joked that she was better than medicine. You are, I told her. And I meant it. One night, she was washing dishes and I was sitting at the table watching her. She looked over her shoulder and caught me staring. What? She asked, smiling. I'm just thinking. About what? About how much better my life is with you in it. She dried her hands on a towel and came over, sitting on my lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. You make my life better too. Do I? Yes. You make me feel safe. Like I do not have to worry. I wrapped my arms around her. You don't. I'll take care of you. Whatever you need. She rested her forehead against mine. I need you. That was the moment I fell. Completely. Stupidly. Irreversibly. I thought I was helping her. I thought I was being kind. I didn't realize I was handing her the keys to everything I had left. A week later, she mentioned her brother's school fees, casual, like it wasn't a big deal. He is good student, but my mother cannot pay this term. Maybe he will have to stop. How much does he need? She looked uncomfortable. I should not ask you. You're not asking. I'm offering. How much? She hesitated. 20,000 baht. That was about $600. Nothing I couldn't handle. I transferred it the next day. She cried when I showed her the receipt. Actually cried. You do not know what this means, she said, holding my hands. You do not know. I thought I did. I thought I was saving her family, building trust, proving I was serious. I didn't know I was just setting the price. A month later, it was her mother's hospital bill. 30,000 baht. Then the rent on their house in Aizan. 40,000. I kept saying yes, kept transferring money. Because every time I did, she'd kiss me like I was her hero. She'd hold me like I mattered. And I was so desperate to matter that I didn't see what was happening. I thought I was healing. I thought we were healing together. But you can't heal someone who's draining you. You just bleed slower. Sasipa brought up marriage first. We were lying in bed one morning, The kind of slow, sticky morning where the fan barely made a difference and getting up felt like too much effort. She was tracing circles on my chest with her finger, and I was half asleep, almost peaceful. "Harlan," she said softly, "I want to ask you something. If I stay with you long time, what will happen?" I opened my eyes. "I mean with visa, with everything. If I live with you, but we not married, it is difficult. I cannot work, cannot stay forever." I hadn't thought about it. I should have, but I hadn't. "You want to get married?" I asked, more awake now. She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was small. "I do not want to leave you, but I also do not want to make problem for you. If you not want to marry me, I understand. I just need to know." I sat up and turned to face her. She looked vulnerable, uncertain, like she was bracing for rejection. "Sasipa, I want to marry you. I've wanted that for a while." Her eyes filled with tears. "Really? Really? I just didn't know if you wanted that too." She threw her arms around me, burying her face in my neck. "I do. I want to be your wife. I want to stay with you." "Then let's do it. Let's make it official." She pulled back, wiping her eyes, and smiled so wide it made my chest ache. "You are sure?" "I'm sure." We started the paperwork the next week. Thailand makes it complicated for foreigners to marry locals, but not impossible. Affidavits, embassy visits, translations, stamps. Sasipa handled most of it, which I appreciated because I didn't understand half the process. She'd come home with stacks of papers for me to sign, and I'd sign them without reading too carefully. I trusted her. That was my mistake, trusting without verifying. "My family want to meet you," she said one evening, looking nervous. "Okay. When? Maybe next month?" "We go to my village. I want them to see you are a good man." I agreed immediately. I wanted to meet them too. Wanted to see where she came from, understand her better. But the trip kept getting delayed. First, her mother wasn't feeling well enough for visitors. Then her brother had exams. Then the rainy season made the roads too difficult. We never went. But the money kept flowing. Her mother needed medicine. Her brother needed a new phone for school. The house needed repairs. I sent it all. 50,000 baht here. 70,000 there. I stopped keeping track. I told myself it didn't matter. Family helps family, right? And if I was going to be her husband, that made them my family too. "You are too good to me," Sasipa said one night after I transferred another 60,000 for her mother's specialist appointment in Khon Kayan. "I'm not being good. I'm being a husband." She kissed me, long and deep. Then she whispered, "I love you, Harlan." It was the first time she'd said it. I'd been waiting to hear those words for months. I held her face and said it back. "I love you too." We took photos for the wedding announcement, went to one of those traditional Thai costume rental places where tourists go to play dress up. I wore a silk shirt and pants, and Sasipa wore a gold and red outfit that made her look like royalty. The photographer posed us under fake temple arches and told us to smile like we were in love. We didn't have to fake it. Or at least I didn't. I looked at those photos for weeks, printed one and put it on the nightstand. Sasipa posted them on Facebook with a long caption in Thai I couldn't fully understand, but she translated the important part for me. "I say you are my angel, my Farang who come to save me." I felt proud, seen, like I'd done something right with my life. But then little things started changing. Small things I told myself didn't matter. She started spending more time on her phone. Not in an obvious way. Just always checking it. Always typing. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd say her mother, her brother, a friend from work. I didn't push. Didn't want to seem jealous or controlling. She started going out more too. Errands, she'd say. Helping a friend. Meeting someone from her old school. She'd leave in the afternoon and come back after dark, smelling like cigarettes even though she didn't smoke. "Where did you go?" I asked once, trying to sound casual. "I told you. Helping my friend with her shop." "What kind of shop?" "Beauty shop. Skincare." She asked me to help organize. "You were there for 6 hours?" Her face tightened. "You do not believe me?" I didn't say that. "Then why you ask so many questions?" Her voice cracked. "You think I lie to you?" "No, Sasipai." She turned away, wiping her eyes. "I do everything for you. Cook, clean, take care of you, and you do not trust me." I felt like I'd been punched. "I do trust you. I'm sorry. I was just curious." She didn't look at me. Maybe I should go home tonight, stay at my friend's place. No. Don't. Please. I'm sorry. She let me apologize for 20 minutes before she finally softened. Let me hold her, let me promise I'd never doubt her again, and I kept that promise, even when the doubt got louder, even when the signs got clearer. I kept quiet, because losing her felt worse than being a fool. The first time I really noticed, she was in the shower. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, and it lit up with a notification. I wasn't trying to snoop. I was just walking past, and I saw it. A message in Thai. The name at the top was just a letter. T. The message itself I couldn't read, but there were heart emojis. 3 of them. I stood there staring at it until the screen went black. My stomach turned. I didn't say anything when she came out, hair wet, smelling like jasmine shampoo. She picked up the phone, glanced at it, and slipped it into her pocket. Didn't react. Didn't explain. You okay? She asked, looking at me. Yeah. Fine. But I wasn't fine. I couldn't stop thinking about it. T. Who was T? I told myself it could be anyone. A girlfriend. A cousin. People use heart emojis casually, right? It didn't mean anything. Except it did. And I knew it did. Over the next few weeks, the pattern got worse. She'd leave the house at odd hours. 2 in the afternoon, 8 at night. She'd say she was going to the market, but she wouldn't bring anything back. Or she'd say she was meeting her friend Noi, but once I saw Noi at the cafe, and she said she hadn't seen Sasipa in weeks. You are being paranoid, I told myself. You are a jealous old man. But I wasn't paranoid. I was watching my life unravel in slow motion. One night, she came home at 11. I'd been sitting in the dark, waiting. When she walked in, she jumped. Why you do not turn on light? She asked, annoyed. Where were you? I told you. With my friend. Which friend? From Lampang. She visit Chiang Mai. You didn't mention that this morning. I forget. She walked past me toward the bedroom. Why you acting like police? I'm not acting like police, Sasipa. I just want to know where you are. She spun around. I am not child. I do not need to report to you every minute. I didn't say you did. You just what? You do not trust me? Her eyes were hard, cold. This again? No, I trust you. Then stop asking questions. She turned and went into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I stood there in the dark, hands shaking, feeling like I was the one who'd done something wrong, like I was the problem. I wanted to go in there, demand the truth, make her explain. But I didn't, because part of me didn't want to know. Part of me wanted to keep living in the version of reality where she still loved me. The phone thing got worse. She started keeping it with her everywhere, even in the bathroom, even while she slept, tucked under her pillow. I'd never seen someone so attached to a device. One morning, I asked her about it, gentle, calm. You're always on your phone lately. She didn't look up. So? Just seems like a lot. Is everything okay? Everything is fine. Why you care? I don't care, You always say you do not care, but you always ask. She finally looked at me, and her expression was tired. Frustrated. I have my life too, Harlan. I have friends. I have family. I cannot just sit here with you every day. I didn't say you had to. Then stop acting like you own me. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Because she was right. I was being possessive, needy, everything I'd sworn I wouldn't be. That night, she slept facing away from me. When I tried to put my arm around her, she shrugged it off. I am tired, she said. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, and wondered when everything had started falling apart. The next day, I decided to stop asking questions, stop pushing. I'd give her space, trust her like she'd asked me to. And for a few days it worked. She seemed lighter, happier. We even had sex again, which hadn't happened in weeks. I thought maybe we were okay. Maybe I'd just been overthinking. Then one afternoon, I saw the car. I was walking back from the market, carrying a bag of fruit, and I saw her standing on the corner near our street. There was a silver sedan parked next to her, and she was leaning into the driver's side window, talking to someone, laughing. Her whole face was lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. I stopped walking, watched from a distance. She handed something through the window, a small bag maybe, and then stepped back as the car pulled away. She stood there for a minute, checking her phone, smiling. Then she turned and walked toward the house. I ducked into a shop before she could see me. My heart was pounding. My hands were sweating. When I got home 10 minutes later, she was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. "Hey," I said, trying to sound normal. "Hey." She didn't look up. "What did you do today?" "Nothing. Stay home. Watch TV." I set the fruit on the counter and stared at the back of her head. She was lying, right to my face, and I didn't say a word, because I was terrified of what would happen if I did. Sasipa came to me crying one night. Real tears. The kind that made her face red and puffy. I was reading in bed when she walked in, phone in hand, shoulders shaking. "What's wrong?" I sat up immediately, reaching for her. She collapsed onto the bed next to me, sobbing into my chest. "My mother, she is worse." My heart sank. "What happened?" "The doctors say she needs specialist. In Bangkok, they have treatment, but it is very expensive." She looked up at me, eyes pleading. "I do not know what to do." "How much?" She hesitated. "Too much." "Sasipa, how much?" 400,000 baht. Her voice broke. "I know I cannot ask you. It is too much. But I do not have anyone else." 400,000 baht. That was almost $12,000. More than I'd ever sent before. Way more. My chest tightened. "What kind of treatment?" "I do not understand all of it. Something with her heart. The doctors say if she do not get it soon, she will die." I stared at her. She looked so desperate, so scared. And I thought about my own mother, who died of a heart attack when I was 30. How helpless I'd felt, how much I'd wished I could have saved her. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Okay, I'll do it, I'll send the money." She threw her arms around me, sobbing even harder. "Thank you. Thank you. I will pay you back. I promise. When I finish school, when I get job, you don't have to pay me back. This is your mother." She kissed me over and over, her tears wetting my face. "You are my angel. You saved my family." I transferred the money the next morning. 400,000 baht. Watched my bank account drop like a stone. Sasipa checked her phone and confirmed she received it, then kissed me so deeply I almost forgot the knot in my stomach. "We will go to Bangkok soon," she said. "Together. You will meet my mother. She will thank you herself." I'd like that, but we never went. Every time I brought it up, there was a reason. The doctor rescheduled. Her mother wasn't strong enough to see visitors. The hospital changed locations. I believed every excuse. Wanted to believe them. Because the alternative was unbearable. 2 weeks after I sent the money, I asked her how her mother was doing. "Better," she said quickly. "The treatment is working." "That's great. When can we visit?" "Soon. Maybe next month." "You said that last month." She looked at me sharply. "You want me to take you when she is still weak?" "No. You do not trust that I tell the truth?" "I trust you." "Then stop pushing." I stopped. But the questions in my head got louder. I started checking my bank account more often, adding up everything I'd sent her over the past year. It was over 800,000 baht. Close to $25,000. I felt sick. Not because of the money exactly, but because I couldn't remember the last time she'd said she loved me. Couldn't remember the last time she'd initiated anything. Affection, conversation, sex. It had all become transactional. I gave, she took, and then she left the room. One night, I tried to talk to her about it. Gentle, non-accusatory. "Sasipa, I feel like we're not as close as we used to be." She was brushing her hair at the mirror. "What you mean?" "I mean we don't talk like we used to, don't spend time together. I am here every day. You're here physically, but you're not really here." She set the brush down and turned to me. "You want me to leave?" "No. God, no. I just want things to feel like they did before." "Before what?" "Before we got engaged. Before the money. Before you started." I stopped myself. "Before I started what?" Her voice was ice. I couldn't say it. Couldn't say the words out loud. That I thought she was using me. That I thought she was seeing someone else. That I thought everything we had was fake. So I said nothing. She stood up. "You are tired. You should sleep." She left the room and I sat there alone, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked old, worn out, pathetic. and I hated myself for still hoping she'd come back and tell me I was wrong. But she didn't. She slept on the couch that night, and I lay in bed, wide awake, wondering how much more I'd give before there was nothing left. The name appeared on her phone at 2 in the morning. I wasn't snooping. I was getting water, and her phone was on the coffee table, screen lit up, T calling. I stared at it until it stopped ringing. Then it started again. I picked it up, hand shaking, and almost answered. But I didn't. I set it back down and went to the bedroom. Sasipa was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. At breakfast I asked her about it. Casual. Like it didn't matter. Someone called you last night? Late? She didn't look up from her phone. Who? T. She froze for half a second, then kept scrolling. Oh, old friend from school. Must be a close friend to call at 2 in the morning. He probably forget the time. He worked night shift. He? Now she looked up. Yes. He. Is that problem? No. Just didn't know you had guy friends. I have many friends. You want me to make list? Her tone was sharp. I didn't mean it like that. Then what you mean? I backed off. Nothing. Forget it. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. Over the next week, I saw the name more often. Texts in Thai I couldn't read. Quick calls she'd taken the other room. Once, I walked into the kitchen, and she was laughing at something on her phone, actually laughing the way she used to laugh with me. When she saw me, the smile disappeared. What's funny? I asked. Nothing. Just meme my friends send. T? Her jaw tightened. Why you always bring him up? I'm not always bringing him up. I just asked a question. You are jealous. I'm not jealous. Yes, you are. You think I do something bad. She stood up, eyes flashing. You do not own me, Harlan. I can have friends. I know you can. I just don't understand why you're always talking to this one. Because he is my friend. Because he understand me. Because he do not ask me questions all the time like I am criminal. I'm not treating you like a criminal. Yes, you are. Her voice cracked. You watch me. You check my phone. You act like I am liar. I've never checked your phone. You want to. I can see it. You think I am stupid? I didn't know what to say. She was right. I did want to check her phone. Desperately. She grabbed her bag and walked toward the door. I am going out. Where? She didn't answer. Just slammed the door behind her. I stood there for a long time, breathing hard, feeling like I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe this T guy really was just a friend and I was the problem. I wanted to believe that. But then one afternoon, I saw him. I was walking back from the temple, taking the long route through the old city, and I saw Sasipa standing outside a coffee shop. She was with a man, Thai, maybe late 30s, slim build. He was leaning against a motorcycle, and she was standing close, arms crossed, smiling. They weren't touching, but the way they stood, the way they looked at each other, it was obvious. I felt my stomach drop. I ducked behind a fruit cart and watched. They talked for maybe 5 minutes. Then he said something that made her laugh and she playfully shoved his shoulder. He grabbed her hand and held it for a second before letting go. She looked around, nervous, then climbed onto the back of his motorcycle. They drove off together. I stood there frozen, heart hammering in my chest, legs like concrete. A vendor asked if I was okay. I nodded and walked home. I don't remember the walk. Just that, when I got there, the house was empty and quiet, and I sat on the floor with my back against the wall. She came home 4 hours later. Hair messy, lipstick smudged. She saw me sitting there and stopped. What are you doing on the floor? Who is he? She blinked. Who? T. Who is he really? Her face went blank. I told you. Friend from school. I saw you today. On his motorcycle. She didn't move. Didn't even flinch. Just stared at me. You follow me? I didn't follow you, I saw you. There's a difference. You spy on me. I wasn't spying, Sasipa. I was walking and I saw you with him. Getting on his bike. Holding his hand. She laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter one. You are crazy. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. He give me ride. That is all. I need to go to pharmacy. He offered to drive me. You were holding hands. We were not. Her voice was rising now. You see something and make it big problem. You always do this. Because you're always lying. Her face went hard. I do not lie. You just do not believe me. Then tell me the truth. Who is he? Why are you always with him? I am not always with him. He is friend. That is all. Do you love him? Silence. Long and heavy. She looked at me like I'd hit her. How you can ask me that? Because you don't love me anymore. You haven't for months. Her eyes filled with tears. You are the one who do not love me. You treat me like I am your property, like I cannot breathe without your permission. That's not true. It is true. You want to control me. You want me to sit here and be your maid and your nurse and never have my own life. I never said that. You do not have to say it. I feel it. She wiped her eyes. I cannot do this anymore. Do what? This, us. I cannot be with someone who do not trust me. My heart stopped. What are you saying? I am saying maybe we should take break. A break? Yes. Time apart. So you can think about what you really want. I want you. She shook her head. No. You want idea of me. You want someone who stay quiet and smile and never ask questions. That is not me. Sasipa, please. I am going to stay with my friend tonight. She turned toward the bedroom. Don't. Please. Let's just talk about this. There is nothing to talk about. She grabbed a bag and started throwing clothes into it. I followed her, pleading, begging, saying things I'm ashamed of now, that I was sorry, that I'd change, that I'd stop asking questions. She didn't look at me, just packed her bag and walked past me like I wasn't even there. At the door, she paused. I will come back for my things later. When? I do not know. She left. The door clicked shut behind her and I stood there in the middle of the empty house, shaking. I wanted to run after her, wanted to scream, wanted to break something. But I just stood there, frozen. Later that night, I called her. 15 times. Every call went to voicemail. I texted her. Please come home. We can work this out. I love you. Nothing. I checked Facebook, Instagram, Line. She'd blocked me on everything. It was like I'd been erased. I didn't sleep. Just lay in bed staring at the space where she used to be, replaying every conversation, every fight, every moment, wondering what I'd done wrong, wondering if I could fix it. I told myself she'd come back. She had to. All her stuff was still here. Her clothes, her skincare products, her hairbrush on the bathroom counter. She'd come back, but 3 days passed. Then a week. Then 2. I called her family. The number she'd given me for her mother. It was disconnected. I went to the cafe where we'd met. Kun Noi said Sasipa hadn't worked there in months. She'd quit back in January. I asked about her friend Iom. Noi said there was no Iom. Never had been. I felt like I was going insane, like I'd imagined everything. But I hadn't. She'd been real, she'd been here, and now she was gone. I came home on a Thursday afternoon. I'd been out walking for hours, no destination, just moving because staying still hurt too much. My feet were sore, and the heat had drained me, but I unlocked the door expecting the same empty silence I'd been living with for 2 weeks. Instead, I noticed immediately. The air felt different, lighter. I walked through the house slowly, checking each room. Her closet was empty. The bathroom shelf where she kept her makeup and lotions, bare. The dresser drawers, cleared out. Every single thing that proved she'd existed here, gone. Except one. On the edge of the bathroom sink, next to the soap dispenser, sat her engagement ring. Silver band, small diamond. Nothing expensive, but I'd chosen it carefully. I'd taken her to 3 different shops before she'd found one she liked. Now it just sat there, catching the afternoon light, mocking me. I picked it up. It was still warm, like she'd just taken it off, which meant she'd been here recently, maybe minutes ago. I ran to the window, looked out at the street, no sign of her. No car, no motorcycle, nothing. I stood there holding the ring, and for the first time since she'd left, I cried. Not quiet tears. Deep, body-shaking sobs. The kind that make you feel like you're breaking apart from the inside. I sank down onto the bathroom floor, back against the tub, and let it all out. Every bit of hope I'd been clinging to, every stupid fantasy that she'd come back and say it was all a misunderstanding. Gone. The ring in my hand was her final answer. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been an hour, could have been 5 minutes. Time didn't mean anything anymore. When I finally stood up, my knees cracked and my vision swam. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and stared at my phone. I wanted to call her. Wanted to text her and ask why. Why leave the ring? Why not just talk to me? Why disappear like I was nothing? But I didn't. Because I knew. Deep down I knew. I opened my banking app, checked my account. I'd been avoiding it for weeks, too afraid to see the damage. But I looked now. Over the past year, I'd sent her 860,000 baht, $26,000, for her mother's treatment, her brother's school, the house repairs, the emergency hospital visit, the specialist in Bangkok, the pharmacy bills, the rent. I scrolled through every transaction, and the realization hit me like a truck. There was no sick mother, no brother in school, maybe no family at all. It had all been a lie. A carefully constructed, perfectly executed lie. And I'd believed every word. I set the phone down and laughed. A hollow, bitter sound. How stupid could one man be? 70 years old and I'd fallen for the oldest trick in the book. Send money to my sick mother, help my struggling family. I'm not like other girls. I really love you. I thought about calling the police, reporting her. But for what? I'd given her the money willingly, signed every transfer. I had no proof she'd lied, no evidence, just my broken heart and an empty house. That night, I tried to eat but couldn't, tried to read but the words blurred together. I ended up sitting in the dark, holding the ring, wondering if any of it had been real. The mornings we'd spent at the temple, the way she'd massaged my shoulders, the way she'd smiled at me like I mattered. Had it all been performance? Had she felt anything? Or was I just a mark from the start? I wanted to hate her, wanted to be angry. But mostly I just felt empty. Used up. Foolish. I put the ring in a drawer and closed it. Out of sight. I thought that would help. It didn't. That week, I barely left the house, didn't shower, didn't shave, ate crackers and canned soup because cooking felt like too much effort. My daughter called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Dad, I'm worried about you. Call me back. Please. I deleted it. I didn't want to hear her say I told you so. Didn't want to admit she'd been right, that I'd been a fool. But the silence got too loud. So one night, I called her back. She answered on the first ring. Dad. Oh my God. I've been trying to reach you for days. I know. I'm sorry. What happened? Are you okay? I wanted to lie. To say everything was fine. But I couldn't. She left. Silence. Then, quietly, Sasipa. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Don't be. You were right. About everything. Dad, I didn't want to be right. I closed my eyes. She took over $26,000, emptied my accounts, then just disappeared, left her ring on the sink like she was returning a library book. Jesus. Dad, have you called the police? What would I say? I gave her the money. All of it. Willingly. But she lied to you. Prove it. Kelly was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Do you want me to come out there? I can take time off. Be with you. No. I'm fine. You're not fine. I will be. But I wasn't sure. Not then. Not yet. I started walking. Every morning, I'd leave the house at sunrise and walk until my legs gave out. Through the old city. Along the moat. Past the temples where Sasipa and I used to sit together. I wasn't looking for her. I just needed to move. Needed to do something other than sit in that house and feel sorry for myself. One morning, I found myself outside the cafe where we'd met. I hadn't been back since I'd talked to Kun Noi, but something pulled me there. I went inside. A different girl was behind the counter, younger. She smiled and asked what I wanted. I ordered an iced coffee, no sugar, and sat at the same table where Sasipa had sat across from me that first day. The girl brought the coffee over. You come here before? She asked. A long time ago. You know Sasipa? I looked up sharply. You know her? Little bit. She worked here before. Maybe 1 year ago? She stopped coming. Do you know where she went? The girl shrugged. She have many job. Here, then other cafe, then I think she work at bar for Farang. She always moving. My chest tightened. Bar for Farang? Yes. In Night Bazaar area. I do not remember name. I thanked her and left. Spent the rest of the day walking through the Night Bazaar, looking at every bar, every restaurant, asking if anyone knew Sasipa. Most people didn't. A few recognized the name but couldn't tell me anything useful. One bartender, an older guy with a gray ponytail, looked at me sadly when I described her. Yeah, I know her. She used to come around, always with different guy, Western guys, older. I felt like I'd been punched. What do you mean, different guys? He looked uncomfortable. Look, man, I don't want to. Please, just tell me, he sighed. She'd meet guys here, talk to them, get drinks. Some of them, she'd leave with. I don't know what happened after that. Not my business. I thanked him and walked away, hands shaking. I found a bench and sat down. My head was spinning. Everything I thought I knew, every memory, every moment, it was all crumbling. Who was she? Who had I been sleeping next to for a year? I pulled out my phone and did something I should have done a long time ago. I searched her name, Sasipa, plus Chiang Mai. Nothing useful came up. Just some Facebook profiles that might have been her, might not. I tried searching her phone number. Disconnected. I tried the address she'd given me for her family's house in Isan. I put it into Google Maps. It didn't exist. The street was real, but the house number she'd given me was in the middle of a rice field. There was no house, no family, no sick mother. I sat there staring at the map on my phone, and everything made sense. The delays, the excuses, the reasons we could never visit her family, because there was no family to visit. Or maybe there was, but she'd never intended for me to meet them. Maybe I was just one of many. An easy mark. Lonely old man with money to burn and no one to spend it on. How many others had there been? How many other guys had she told the same stories to? Sent the same sweet messages? Made the same promises? I felt sick. I walked back to the house and went through everything she'd left behind. A hair tie on the nightstand, a cheap bracelet under the bed, a receipt from 7-Eleven dated 2 months ago. I threw it all away. Every trace. I wanted her gone completely. That night, I opened a bottle of whiskey I'd been saving and drank half of it. Sat on the floor of the living room and went through my bank statements again, transaction by transaction, adding it all up. $26,000. Gone. And for what? For a year of pretending? For someone who'd never even existed? I thought about all the signs I'd ignored. The phone calls at odd hours, the mysterious errands. The way she'd turned every question around on me made me feel guilty for asking. The way she'd cried on command. The way she'd loved me just enough to keep me paying. I'd known. Some part of me had always known. But I'd wanted it to be real so badly that I'd convinced myself the red flags were just my paranoia. That I was being unfair, controlling, jealous. She'd trained me to doubt myself. And I'd let her. That was the worst part. Not that she'd lied, but that I'd helped her do it. I started writing to her one night. Not because I thought she'd read it. Not because I thought I'd ever send it. But because I needed to say things out loud, even if it was just to a blank page. I sat at the kitchen table with a notebook and a pen, and I wrote, Sasipa, I don't know if that's even your real name. I don't know if anything you told me was true, but I need to say this, even if you never hear it. I forgive you. I stopped and stared at those words. Did I mean them? I kept writing. Not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because I can't carry this anymore. I can't spend the rest of my life hating you. I don't have that much time left. I forgive you because I have to, because holding on to this anger will kill me faster than age ever could. You took my money. You took my trust. You took a year of my life and turned it into a lie. But I gave it to you. I handed you everything because I was desperate. Desperate to feel loved. Desperate to matter to someone. Desperate to believe I wasn't just an old man waiting to die alone. That's on me. Not you. You saw an opportunity and you took it. That's what people like you do. But I let you. I saw the signs and I ignored them. I made excuses for you. I convinced myself you were real because the alternative was unbearable. So maybe we're both guilty. You, for lying. Me, for believing. I don't hate you, Sasipa. I hate what you represent. The fact that I was lonely enough, broken enough, to fall for it. The fact that I thought love could be bought, that companionship could be transactional. That someone like you could actually want someone like me. I know now that you didn't. Maybe you never even thought about me as a person. Maybe I was just a retirement plan. A way out. A means to an end. And maybe that's all I was ever supposed to be. But I want you to know something. I loved you. Really loved you. Not the idea of you. Not the fantasy. The person I thought you were. And that person, even if she wasn't real, changed me. Made me feel alive again. Made me believe I had something left to give. So thank you for that. Even if it was a lie. Even if I was a fool. Thank you for letting me feel something other than grief for a while. I hope you're happy, wherever you are. I hope the money was worth it. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. And I hope, someday, you think about me. Not with guilt. Not with regret. But with the same indifference you showed when you left that ring on the sink. Because that's all I ever was to you, wasn't I? Nothing. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all. I signed it, folded it, and put it in a drawer. Next to the ring, I never sent it. Never even addressed an envelope. But writing it helped, not much. But enough. That week, I started cleaning out the house. Donating things I didn't need. Selling furniture. I didn't want to live in that space anymore. Didn't want to wake up every morning in the bed we'd shared and feel her absence. I found a smaller place on the other side of the city. 1 bedroom, quiet neighborhood, no memories. I moved in 3 weeks later, and it felt like starting over, like I was rebuilding from scratch. One night, I was unpacking boxes and I found a photo, the one of us in the Thai costumes. We were smiling. Her head on my shoulder, my arm around her waist. We looked happy. I almost threw it away. But I didn't. I kept it. Not because I missed her, but because I needed to remember. Remember what it felt like to believe. Remember what it cost. I put it in a frame and set it on a shelf. A reminder. Not of her, but of me. Of the man I'd been when that photo was taken. Hopeful. Trusting. Alive. I didn't want to forget him. 6 months later, I was still in Chiang Mai. People asked why I stayed, why I didn't go back to the States, back to my kids, back to what I knew. I didn't have a good answer. Just that this place still felt like home, even after everything. I started going to the temple again. Early mornings, before the tourists arrived, I'd sit with the monks and listen to them chant. Didn't understand the words, but I understood the feeling. Peace, stillness. One morning, an older monk sat next to me. We'd never spoken before, but he smiled like he knew me. "You come here many times," he said in broken English. "I do. You look sad before. Now less sad." I smiled. "I'm working on it." "Good. Sadness is heavy. You cannot carry forever. I'm trying to put it down." He nodded. "You will, when you are ready." We sat in silence for a while. Then he stood and walked away. I stayed there until the sun rose fully, warming the courtyard. When I left, I felt lighter, not healed, but better. I started helping out at a small community center near my new apartment, teaching English to local kids. It wasn't much, but it gave me purpose. Gave me something to do other than think about what I'd lost. The kids were sweet, curious. They'd ask me questions about America, about my life, about why I lived in Thailand. I'd tell them simple answers. That it was beautiful here. That the people were kind. That I'd found peace. One of the older students, a girl named Ploy, asked me one day if I had a wife. "I did," I said. "A long time ago." "What happened?" "She passed away." "I am sorry." "It's okay. It was a long time ago." "You have new wife now?" I hesitated. "I did. But it didn't work out." Ploy looked at me with wise eyes. "Love is difficult." I laughed. "Yes, it is." She smiled and went back to her workbook. Kids have a way of cutting through nonsense, seeing things clearly. I thought about that conversation for days. Love is difficult. It is. But it's also worth it, even when it hurts, even when it ends badly. Because the alternative is feeling nothing, and I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. I still thought about Sasipa sometimes. Late at night when I couldn't sleep, wondered where she was, who she was with, if she ever thought about me. But the thoughts didn't sting like they used to. They were just thoughts, passing, temporary. I'd see couples walking hand in hand through the old city and I wouldn't feel jealous anymore. Just curious, hopeful, even, that maybe one day I'd be ready to try again. Not now, not anytime soon, but someday. I met a woman at the market one Saturday. She was selling flowers, and we got to talking. She was Thai, maybe mid-50s, widowed. She told me about her husband, how he'd died in a car accident 10 years ago, how lonely she'd been, how she'd learned to live with it. You learn to be alone, she said. Not lonely, alone. There is difference. What's the difference? Lonely is empty. Alone is full, full of yourself. I thought about that a lot. I was learning to be alone, not lonely. I cook my own meals now. Simple things. Fried rice, eggs, soup. I read books in English and tried to learn Thai, even though I was terrible at it. I walked every day. Watched the city wake up and go to sleep. I was building a life. Not the one I'd planned, not the one I'd imagined when I first met Sasipa, but a life nonetheless. One evening, I went back to the cafe where we'd met. Not the one where she'd worked, but a different one nearby. I ordered coffee and sat outside, watching people pass by. A couple walked past, laughing. He was old, maybe older than me. She was young, Thai, holding his hand. I watched them and felt nothing. No bitterness, no judgment. Just observation. Maybe they were happy, maybe they were real. Maybe he'd gotten the love I'd thought I had. Or maybe he was me a year ago. Blind, hopeful, about to lose everything. I didn't know. Wasn't my business. I finished my coffee and walked home. The air was cool. The city was alive with sound. Motorbikes, street vendors, music from the bars. I felt part of it again. Not a tourist. Not a stranger. Just someone who lived here. Chiang Mai was still home. That night, I sat on my small balcony and looked out at the mountains in the distance. They were dark against the purple sky, solid and unchanging. I thought about everything I'd been through, everything I'd lost, everything I'd learned, and I realized something. I didn't regret it, not all of it. I regretted the lies, the money, the way it ended. But I didn't regret believing, didn't regret trying, didn't regret opening myself up to the possibility of love again. Because for a while, even if it was fake, I'd felt alive. And that was worth something. Maybe not $26,000, but something. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, checked my balance. It was smaller than it used to be, but it was enough. Enough to live on, enough to rebuild with, enough to survive. I closed the app and set the phone down. I didn't need much, just enough. Enough peace, enough purpose, enough reasons to wake up in the morning. I had that now, not because of her, but because of me, because I'd survived, because I'd chosen to stay, because I'd learned the hardest lesson of all, that love isn't something you buy, it isn't something you earn, it's something you give. And whether or not it's returned doesn't change the giving. I'd loved Sasipa, really loved her, and she'd broken me. But I was still here, still breathing, still believing that life had more to offer. I still believed in love. I just no longer believed in ignoring the signs. I thought I'd lost everything, but maybe what I lost was something I never really had. And maybe that was okay. Maybe losing the illusion was the only way to find the truth. I stayed on that balcony until the stars came out, bright and clear in the Thai sky. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to happiness. Not the wild, desperate kind I'd felt with Sasipa, but something quieter, steadier, real. I didn't know what came next, didn't have a plan, but I was ready, ready to live again, ready to try again, ready to be alone without being lonely. Chiang Mai was still home, and I was still here. That was enough.